Hello everybody and welcome to the show. This is M. Tricia Lee. Coming up, a bit that I did on Regis Philbin all the way back in November of 2001. Stay tuned for the show. Hi everybody, it's M. Tricia Lee. Welcome back to the show. And I just wanted to say before I do this bit is that sometimes when you think up a bit in your head, it seems like the funniest bit at the time. At the time the joke seems funny, you know what I mean? You just get this thought in your head for a second and the joke seems very funny. But you look at it at a later point on television and it's not a bad bit. So I don't know. I re-looked at this material that Regis wants to see, and I thought the bit was not bad. But, Regis asked for a request, so we'll put the bit on. And the way this bit started is because I saw a show with Bob Hope once, and Bob was getting like up to 95, age 95. He was really up there at the time I saw him perform, and he was doing a show for the female comics. And nosy me, I caught him behind stage. I had a seat where I could see him behind stage. And so, big nosy me, I'm peering over the bar trying to see him on stage and everything. And I realized he could barely walk anymore. He's starting to be more crippled. And he's taking little baby steps trying to get up to the stage. And then I realized because Hope can't walk, they're actually going to bring the stagehands around to sort of hoist Hope up under his arms and lift him up, lift his whole body up, and sort of carry him out on stage like a package. And I'm looking at this, at what they're willing to do to get Hope out on stage just one last time, and I'm thinking, they would bring the car tow in here to get that guy out on stage one last time and get a few more lines out of him. And then I just started thinking this whole thing, Regis dies and they'll hoist him up in the coffin to get a few more lines out of him. Anyway, the bit seemed funny in my head at first, and so welcome to the show. Here's the bit. Regis Philbin is a yappy boy. Concept, Philbin is a yappy boy. What's a yappy boy? Well, if you went to the dictionary to look the term up, what you would see there is a picture of Philbin. The dictionary defines the term yappy boy by simply leaving a picture there of Philbin. Okay, back in the old days they would tell jokes like how many Polacks does it take or how many mix does it take. These days you can't say stuff like that. Well, they would say how many morons does it take to screw in a light bulb. Okay, so how many yappy boys does it take to screw in a light bulb? Well, you're going to need a selection of at least 300 yappy boys to choose from because, they're so busy talking, nobody's going to screw in the light bulb. So, that old college party idea of stuffing people into a Volkswagen in order to set a world's record? Well, you're dealing with yappy boys now, so how many yappy boys could you stuff into that Volkswagen to set a world's record? I'm thinking just the one. He is going to need the whole car. Over. So this one time there was a creative yappy boy, only he's in a rowboat going nowhere fast. So what does this creative yappy boy do? He sticks his yap into the water and he's got for himself a motorboat. The Hoover vacuum cleaner, who invented it? Because if you think about it, man, that thing could really suck. Who invented the Hoover vacuum cleaner? Was it a yappy boy? Philbin having sex. Philbin having sex. Let's think about that. Do I want to think about it? Do I want to go there? Regis Philbin having sex. Should I think about that? Should I go there? Let's go there. Philbin having sex. What's it like having sex with Regis? A few of you women know what it's like. What's it like having sex with Philbin? Does it involve a yap? So, welcome back to the roast of Regis Philbin. And you know, if it sounds like I'm being too hard on Regis, I don't mean to be. It's a roast. It's a roast. Regis knows how to take it. So like in the 90s when I was meeting comics like George Burns or Bob Hope for the first time, you know, I'd give them my best, and then they'd look at me like, "You're the new comic, aren't you?" Yeah. Yeah, George Burns in particular gave me a very hard time. You know, it's like he didn't want to know me, he didn't want to help me with my act, he just said, "Toodles, little girl, see you later." So the only two that ever really helped me with my act were Robin Williams and Buddy Hackett, and, you know, I appreciated it. But after 10 years of getting a hard time from the male comics, it was 30 years. 30 years of getting my nose rubbed in the doggy poopy, if I even said one word to the comics. After 30 years of, you know, the big snub, I finally looked at those older gentlemen one day and thought to myself, "You older men are done giving me a hard time. You older men, somebody just stayed too long at the dance." Oh, I forgot to say that Craig Kilburn was also the other guy who was nice about it. So if you think about it, George Burns, Bob Hope, Regis Philbin, these are three guys who think their retirement age begins at the age of 125 years old. To be honest with you, somebody stayed too long at the dance. So we're back to roasting Regis Philbin, roasting Regis, because he's been a yappy boy. But you know, Regis has his moments. He's very, very lovable. My mom thought he was the greatest guy in the world. She just loved him to death. And when I think about what Regis's better qualities are, I think, you know, he's good with women. He's pretty good with women. Like, you know, in Regis's mind, any woman is a good woman. That's where Regis, you know, has a very strong quality. And I shouldn't say this, but, you know, if your grandma, if 85-year-old grandma hasn't had a tumble for a long while, maybe Regis is the guy. 'Cause, you know, with Regis, any woman is a good woman. So the thing is that Regis finally got a date with a cloister nun. So Regis decides to take Sister, the cloister nun, out to a French restaurant. And he starts explaining the restaurant to the nun, and as soon as she heard sound, she had been living in silence for 30 years. As soon as she heard sound for the first time in 30 years, so it's such a shock to Sister that she, you know, had a heart attack and died. So basically I think what happened is somebody, I'm not saying who, but somebody just killed somebody with his yap. So roastin' Regis. Hillary Clinton thinks it takes a village. What does Philbin think it takes? Does he think it takes a yap? Where is Regis Philbin right now? Do we know where he's at? Wherever Regis is right now, let's ask ourselves one question. What's he doing right now? Can you visualize him? And how do you see him? Is his yap engaged? So a group of Jehovah's Witnesses comes to Regis' door, but Regis won't let them in. And it's not like he's biased so much against Jehovah's Witnesses, it's just that Regis does all the talking. So Regis Philbin finally dies. He had worked to the age of 115, and he died finally at the age of 138. And they've got him laid out in a coffin. Everybody's showing up to say their respects. And Regis is out cold. He's dead. Rigor mortis is sitting. But you know what? The punchline's going to be at his funeral. Don't be surprised if the yap can still engage. Like, you know, he's out cold, but his voice is still happening somehow in the room.